New York strips for free. Also, 10% off all beef jerky. Locations at 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Do you have a new address or phone number? Update your info with Powerline, LES's outage reporting system. Visit les.com/powerline or call 402-475-4211 to sign up.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, Husker Nation. This is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top-quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Round 2 of boxing at the complex is this weekend. Come enjoy a show of the Midwest's best amateur boxers on Saturday, July 13th at the complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. A grudge rematch between Lincoln's Carter Mickelhouse and Kearney's Jack Mundolf, plus another Capital City showdown to follow. Doors open at 6 p.m. with the first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the boxers and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska's always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Round 2 of boxing at the complex is this weekend. Come enjoy a show of the Midwest's best amateur boxers on Saturday, July 13th at the complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. A grudge rematch between Lincoln's Carter Mickelhouse and Kearney's Jack Mundolf, plus another Capital City showdown to follow. Doors open at 6 p.m. with the first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the boxers and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com. Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Join us each Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon for Youth Football 101 with Tank Perry of the Nebraska Red Wolves of 7-on-7 football. The future of the sport depends on the foundation set at a young age. Hear those stories and more each Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Old School with DP and J.
You have to get ready for this long haul of a season that you put, hopefully, your blood, sweat, and tears into training to be in your best form. And whatever team does it at a higher percentage, that means if you have 100 players and you do it at a 90%, 90% of the guys do it on a 90% basis, generally it correlates to what your wins and losses.
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're spending $300 a month. Binge drinking is the most common form of excessive drinking, which costs the United States more than $191 billion each year. By drinking less, you will save $300 a month. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weeknights. Once again, Harrison Arns on the ones and twos as always. Come 6 o'clock. If you guys want to join in on the show, 402-464-5685. Start Heyman text line as always. Great way to put a face to the voice. Use the streams: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Allo, Channel 961. All great ways to do so. We got a guest in tonight. So with that being said, I'll throw it over to the host, Chancellor Brewington.
Yes, sir. We got a special guest in tonight. Former teammate, great dude, phenomenal person. Just a joy to be around. Elliot Brown.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Of course, bro. Of course. I appreciate you coming on. I had IGC in here 2 days ago, and I was telling them, bro, I know how summer is. I know people just want to be in the bed right now. So I appreciate you taking some time out today.
No, of course. I love doing these. Yes, we do have to get up at 4 in the morning tomorrow, but these are my favorite type of things. I love podcasts, love just chopping it up.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Yeah. So I like to just get like a base ground going into each episode, like where you're from, childhood, family, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's about as easy as it comes. Grew up here in Omaha, Nebraska kid through and through. My dad played here back in the 90s, 94, 98. So I grew up being a Husker fan, going to games since I was a kid. This was always my dream, right? Played football, baseball my whole life. Just, being a kid, pretty much white picket fence, like great family. Mom and dad loved each other, had a little sister. Very blessed. God blessed me with an amazing life. Sports was pretty much everything in my life. Really found my faith when I got older in middle school, high school, and then just kept working my butt off to hopefully achieve my dream to coming down here.
Right.
Got a walk-on offer, so took it. And ever since then, I've been living the dream down here.
I love it. I love it. So starting off young, when was the first time you said your dad played here?
Yep.
94, 98.
Oh, yeah.
When was the first time you kind of fell in love with football, I should say?
I feel like I've been playing, like we played flag, obviously, like when you're 4 or 5 years old. But then I started playing tackle when I was like 6. So it was kind of crazy. So a bunch of the guys that are on the team now, I've been playing with since I was like
who?
6. Teddy,
Really?
Barrett Liebentritt, Caleb Benning, like a lot of young cats. Because I always played younger. I always played older, but like when our division, the way our like league worked, it was Pop Warner. So if you were heavier, you could play up. So Teddy was obviously a monster when he was 8 years old. So he was always
tallest on the team then?
Oh,
still?
always.
Yeah.
So I've been playing with them forever. And so like my dad, his dad, Drew Christo, who plays baseball here, his dad played here. He was another one of our coach. You have Damon Benning. All those guys were our coaches. So like we were really like, it wasn't just like you hold up a sign, like how like kids play football nowadays. It's not like, look at the picture, go run. It was like we were running 2-minute offense, like tempo, like it was wild. So that's where it was like I just fell in love with like what football was, and obviously the history here, having all my guys, like we were best friends, loved, like it wasn't a job, like it was, we were able to be kids and play sports, and we were really good at it too.
Really? You guys were a raw team?
So like when you were a kid growing up, you watched that ESPN like down when they go to like Disneyland and play football.
Oh yeah.
Every year we
y'all was like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Y'all was cold.
Except we never made it there. We were always one game away. If you ask Teddy or like any of these guys, our biggest like failure in life was never making it to ESPN. We were filling out surveys for like the interviews for like the TV.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
like favorite whatever.
Yeah, favorite TV. Like we were in the hotel, like asking each other, like, what should we put down for our favorite TV show? I was like, well, I like SpongeBob, but I don't want to like. That's cool.
Right.
So we were like saying ESPN and all this stuff, but it was crazy.
So growing up, did you ever get to go? I'm sure you did. Go to any Husker games?
Oh yeah, every year. So my dad had season tickets because he's alumni,
right?
And so we would always go to at least 1 or 2 a year. My favorite one, like the coolest experiences, were the reunion games. So like when they would celebrate the national championship teams, they'd bring them out on the field and stuff. And my dad, 1 year it was him, and then I think it was one of the tight ends he played with. He had a kid, and so we weren't allowed to go on the field with him.
Right.
But they're like, of course we're gonna bring him on the field. So he popped me on his shoulders, and I was running out there, just big, bug-eyed, looking around, like, oh my gosh. And then I think literally Jay Terry gave me like a wristband when I was like on the sideline.
Really?
Yeah, he
A young
ran
Jay
out-
Terry?
Oh yeah, young Jay Terry. I ran out there. He gave me like a wristband, and then we ran back. But I've always been growing up going to him. I was tailgating with all the ex-football players.
So was it like now that I know we'll get into you playing at Nebraska and all that stuff, but like just briefly, like was it like now we're in that end knowing that your dad done it, in the 90s?
I mean, it's always been a dream of mine. I got pictures on my phone of like me, just like when I was first born, I was probably like 2, 3 years old. I was like, when you go take like those little baby photo pictures at like places, I had my dad's helmet and I was like laying up on it. And so
Oh
like
yeah, that's a tough
ever since
picture.
I was a
Oh
kid, like
yeah.
this is like some could say it was like God's like plan for me
Oh
to be
yeah,
where
for
I'm
sure.
at. Because I've been here, this is my 5th year. I
Mhm.
haven't really played all that much,
Right.
but I've been able to do a lot outside of
Oh
football.
my god.
That like
Yeah.
that's where I think I'm supposed to be at. Like
Right.
that's why I'm here.
Really.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. I'm just trying to progression our way to college. So we get to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And when was the point where like, okay, like I'm gonna end up playing at Nebraska?
It was very late.
Really?
Super late. So like freshman year, sophomore year, whatever, you're just trying to figure out, like you're trying to get big, strong, fast. Like I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you're figuring out
Yeah,
everything.
and then like sophomore year, I played a little bit of varsity here and there as a receiver, just because I was quick enough and like athletic enough.
Right.
But I was always a quarterback. Played quarterback my whole life.
Wow.
So junior year, I started my first game like receiver DB, because the senior quarterback was like, they were like, we're gonna give it to the senior, and I was like, all right, cool, just put me on the field.
Right.
But then first game he goes down, so then the second game I was like, they're like, all right, go get it. So I was like, all right, so played all that year at quarterback. We did fine, had a good year. No like recruiting, nothing.
Right.
I was like, whatever, my time will come. That summer, I did the camp circuit, so went to Harvard, Yale, like Nebraska, Kansas State, like just went around
Right.
doing camps and stuff, and just got my name out there. And then senior year had another good season, and then it wasn't like late into the like football season where like officially Nebraska was like, yeah, you have a walk-on spot.
Really?
Yeah, because like the way it was like working, it was like communications were weird because like obviously my dad knows everyone that was on the old staff.
Right.
And so like it was more of just like a friendship.
Yeah, so
like,
this is like Frost era.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he played
yeah.
with Frost,
yeah,
I'm assuming.
like Frost was at my house when I was a kid, like playing
Okay.
poker. My dad, like
Got you.
they were tight.
Got you.
But so like communications were just like it wasn't like official like recruiting style. And so like we never really knew what like was going on and stuff. But eventually we did find out like, yeah, you have a walk-on spot. And at that point I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you get up here, I always ask everyone their experience running out of Memorial the first time. Like, what was that like for you? Obviously, you done it as a kid, but like putting on a jersey, putting on a helmet, what was that like?
So first year was COVID, so I didn't even get to step on the field because there was like limited guys.
Right.
So that was super weird, obviously for everybody. But then that next year, that first game, I don't even remember who we played.
Oh, Fordham, right?
Yeah, Fordham. Yeah. So we were suited up. I ran out there. It was just like a blessing to realize like all my hard work and like everything that I tried to like do to get to this point, like it's all come true.
Right.
So it was really just like breathtaking to be able to like run down the field, go to the end zone, get on a knee, and just like I really did just thank God, like thank you for putting me here. Like I think this is where I'm supposed to be. And then obviously it's gotten way bigger than I ever thought it would.
Right.
So it's really been cool.
Right. And during this time, you've built up a following on social media, and I guess I kind of want to ask, like, how do you manage something like that? Because it's definitely interesting being an athlete and then having a following, and obviously you're open about your faith, and we'll get into that. But was it like having that type of platform?
It is really interesting, especially for me, because like usually you see the guys like the 5-star recruits, all this stuff. They have the big followings and they get all the accolades and all that stuff. So for me as a walk-on, especially here from Nebraska, like I'm not that big of a name. Originally, I wasn't.
Right.
And so I was like, let me just see what I can do with this. And then NIL started coming out, and everyone was like kind of freaking out. I just tried to take it day by day, like use my platform for the purpose of like what I want to share. Like I never really tried to like just show off. I always wanted to have like a purpose behind what I did with it. Obviously, a lot of it, like you said, is my faith and like all that stuff. But sharing photos from football games and all that sort of stuff that is cool for like people to see, but then also having a purpose behind it, which is my big reason of like why I do my social media.
Right. So if someone, let's say someone is, entering college freshman or even in high school and they kind of want to grow their platform, what would you suggest?
Staying consistent. That's the biggest thing, especially with social media. Like I've done not a very good job at times with it because like you said, college football is a very time consuming thing where like it's hard if you're not on it 24/7. So like growing social media, you got to be able to stay consistent, whether it's like videos, pictures, whatever it is, always have content to put out there. That'll just naturally grow you, and then have your thing. I feel like a lot of people try to like do too much or like just grab whatever attention they can. Like I think the most important thing is like have your reason to like what you're trying to do. Whether it's like you're a fitness guy, like really put out good fitness stuff, or like I don't know, whatever it may be, football. And like the other cool thing about like mine is like I have like a couple, like I have that football side where like I can really like show what I do that side.
Right.
But then also like my personal life, because it's like what is like people love to see what football players do outside of like their job. And then my faith, which is like tied into all of it. So like really my niche is kind of like a little more spread out, but you definitely need to have like your thing. Like when people go to your page, you're like, oh, this guy is that's his thing.
There's identity there.
Yeah.
So with that, I feel as if that kind of opened up some opportunities for you to do some things in the community and have a larger outreach. When did that start and why is that so important for you?
Really it started with NIL. Once NIL was legal, we were like, okay, I can like do these like kids camps, I can do these like speaking engagements. Like it makes it legal, and like I'm not gonna get in trouble if I try to go do something with like an organization that makes money, right? Because like you could go to a neighborhood or a school around here and be like just talk or whatever. But if you want to partner up with like a company that is for profit, it was super hard to figure out. So like once NIL went through, I really remember like it went through on like June of that 2021 season, I think.
Right.
And like within like 2 or 3 weeks, I had my first youth camp set up.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I have a little team. I call it my team because it sounds cool, but it's really just my dad, my uncle, and then like my cousin or aunt or whatever. I don't know how it all works, but they're like my people that like help me set everything up for like a lot of stuff. So we reached out, we got a date set up, a whole thing. So I started recruiting guys. I was like, hey, nobody's ever done this really before because it hasn't been allowed. But I was like, let's try it. Like, you guys want to come help me figure this out? Like, all right, let's do it. So that was my first one. That couple weeks right before the 21 season, and then ever since then, I just kept. It's been a staple for me.
Yeah. So is that the camp that you did probably a month ago or a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I just did one. I did 2 so far this summer. I have a 3rd one coming up. It's just basically it's a youth football camp.
Okay.
So I bring my teammates, whoever wants to come, hang out with the kids. We'll go. Usually they're in Omaha just because that's where I'm from.
Okay.
We go out there. We partner up with like their youth sports programs, so like Millard Associated.
Okay.
So like that's one of them, and then like Elkhorn and stuff like that, Papillion, and they do all the promoting and like all that sort of stuff for me, just because I don't have the time. And we show up. We put on a kids camp. We teach them football drills and but then we just make it fun too. Like let them do fastest man competition. Let them take their shirts off, play football. Just stuff that kids love to do. And it's been very successful. I've been very blessed to be able to do multiple of them, have a lot of fun. The craziest one was we went out to, remember Phelan?
Yeah.
He lived out in Benkelman, which is like very western Nebraska. We drove 8 hours out there and did a kids camp out there.
8 hours.
Yeah, because you're basically on like the Colorado border.
Oh my goodness.
And so so really the whole big deal was we were going to go out there to do a camp, but we were like, what's the best way to like, Benkelman's 300 people. Like that's the only people that live in their town. It's like, how are we going to recruit all these people? And it was their like town fair, which is like a big deal out there.
Okay.
So we timed it up with like the Benkelman like city, like I don't know, government or not, like whatever you're
like county fair or something like that.
It's like their county fair. And so we like talked to them. We're like, all right, these are the dates. Like this is the best day to do it.
Right.
Because you don't want to do it during the pig showing because that's their thing. So we figured it all out. It's like, yeah, it was cool. I want to say we had like 100 kids out there.
Really?
Day one. Yeah, but then they got really tired really fast.
So obviously that's a great experience, but what was your favorite experience thus far with doing these things, engaging with these kids, getting in the community? Like, what's your favorite experience so far?
It wasn't even a kids camp. I think a year, 2 years ago, I put on a charity basketball event at my high school.
Okay. Was that where Travis?
Yeah. You remember that? Yeah. So we teamed up with we did it at my old high school. We teamed up with like Special Olympics Nebraska, and I brought a bunch of guys down, and we played the football players. We played the Nebraska Special Olympics team
Mhm.
for a little quarter, and then we played like a local Hall of Fame team, I guess you'd call it.
Okay.
And then we played like some high schoolers, and I want to say we had like 400 or 500 people out there.
Really?
We had like a special needs gymnastics team like perform.
Oh, that's
We had
awesome.
Elkhorn South like dance team perform and like just did some giveaways and stuff. But the whole night was really cool. It was actually like that. So that was my favorite because I really was able to put on like a spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I seen you do something with Runza back in the day. Are you a Runza fan?
I like the Runzas.
Okay.
I think they're the best at Memorial. It's like if you're gonna go get one
Right.
and you go to a restaurant, you're like, oh, this is trash. Oh, you got to go to a Husker game. It just hits different. But I do like their burgers.
Mhm.
They got good frings. But yeah, I did partner up with Runza. That was crazy one time.
Yeah. So we'll hint on this going into the next break. But you had to play a unique role last year with your injury, and obviously you being an older guy, what was that like for you? And just give us a little bit of backstory on that.
It's kind of like a weird thing how it all worked out. So basically, it was like going into the season, it was just like everything was normal, just trying to get on the field, special teams, all that sort of stuff. But then it was like I had a unique opportunity to where like I was able to help like almost coach
Right.
and still be a player, just like doing different stuff on the sideline, like signaling, helping coach different things. So that kind of did that thing, and then I got injured, tore my ACL. So then it was like that was like that was my best way to help contribute to the team because like obviously I couldn't play.
Right.
So I was like, all right, like I ain't got nothing else to do. Like let me really like help us try to win. And so that's what I like locked in on, and then kind of led into this last winter. Our player development guy Gus, who does like all of our player development stuff, like community service, like community engagement, player engagement, all that stuff. I ended up getting like a little internship with him, and so like I started doing that too.
Right.
And so like all of it kind of just made a path for itself, and like it's just been kind of cool to see how everything's kind of worked out. But
so is coaching something you would want to do later?
Yeah,
being a coach, not necessarily football, just being
some sort of like
right,
coach where I
right.
can like get with these guys, like whether it's on the field or off the field. I think I've always said, like I don't know what it is, but I think God's called me to be able to do something where I make an impact.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know how it works or what it's going to look like yet, but like any way I can impact somebody and like help them better themselves, I think that's what I should and like want to do.
When did you start to feel that?
It's crazy because like my mom has always said like she doesn't know like obviously what it is or how like it's gonna work, but she's always thought that like I've been like blessed with like this unique like talent and gift to like do something bigger than myself. It's just like always how I've been growing up, and like I don't know how that sounds. It kind of sounds like a little weird or like maybe a little too like cocky or confident, but like it's just something about like God has given me an opportunity no matter where I'm at, like what I'm doing, that like there's always something bigger than me. There's always some like whether it's a person or like a story or like organization, whatever it may be, there's always something bigger than myself that I've always attached myself to. That I've always wanted, like it's always drawn me in. Like special needs has been a big thing in my life. Like
Right.
just hanging out with those kind of kids, like giving back to them. They've given back to me. So it's like always something going on in my life where it's like it's always bigger than me. So I think that's where it's just like God's doing something special where
Right.
like I'm just letting him take the reins and control.
Next segment we'll talk about faith, but just quickly, where did your faith stem from? Was it obviously you found it on your own, but did your parents play a big role in that?
It's kind of weird where like they did, like growing up, they always like kind of taught me
Right.
like a little bit about God and stuff like that, but it was on my own with the help of like some of my best friends. Like now they kind of helped me because their dad was is my pastor now.
There you go.
Yeah, so like they kind of like help guide me, but like it's actually crazy. Like we can get into it more,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like I was the one that kind of led the rest of my family to their
Oh,
faith
wow.
now.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like I said, guys just work some mysterious ways. So
That's amazing.
it's
That's
been cool.
amazing.
Yeah. And with that being said, I think it's a good spot to go ahead and throw it to our first break here. What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington, the host to my left. We got the guest Elliot Brown in here today. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling here on the next segment.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Evan Cooper was Matt Rule's dude, right, with prospect identification. How do you think Nebraska's philosophy and process changed with Evan Cooper out the door?
That's such a great question. You turn back towards, Sean Padden and Ryan Callahan and Vince Ginta and those guys that are in the recruiting room. They're no slouches.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
I'd like Bill to be say next to you, so when you say on three, he goes, that'd
be awesome. That would be. Steve Sipple on three. You should be there just for that.
That's all I said for 3 days.
Kirk Francis, Steve Sipple from the Husker Online on 3 Network.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you're eligible to receive? Do you want help navigating the application or appeals process? Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. You've served our country, now let us serve you. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm Chris Jackamick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jackamick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them, or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in to Ticket Weeknights. What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington, the host to my left. We got the guest, Elliot Brown of Husker Football, in here with us as well. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. Sorry, Heyman text line still open to you. Watch the streams. Good way to put a face to the voice. Chancellor Brewington, the host. I'll throw it back to you.
Yes, sir. So we was talking earlier about your faith walk and how that came about. You said I'm not going to put your words in your mouth, but you said you brought your family to faith.
Yeah, I
mean,
in a way, yeah.
Okay.
Because like growing up, like I was saying, like faith has always been like a topic of discussion. Like,
of course.
When I specifically remember, I was like, Mom, I want to wear like a cross, like chain. She was like, this is like, it's not like something you can just throw on and like take it lightly. Like it's a big deal. Like she didn't really have the words. I feel like I remembered to really describe why it was a big deal, but like it was important. So like obviously, and then my dad grew up in a Lutheran church. It's like he knew it all, but he just kind of like got away from it just as he grew up or whatever.
Right.
But it was always like a thing. Like we would always kind of like do a quick prayer for dinner and stuff like that.
Right.
But it was nothing like our foundation. That it wasn't ever that.
When did it change? For you personally?
For me, it was middle school. So like I was saying, my two best friends, their dad is the pastor of our church, Love Church in Omaha. They had like a youth group on Wednesday nights. And so one day after like football, they're like, hey, you want to come to youth group with us? I was like, sure. Like, I don't really know what it is.
Right.
And so they're like, dog, it's fine. Just like come, show up. It's here, blah, blah, blah. So I showed up and I just remember like that night, I was like, I don't know what just happened, but like this was legit. I remember going home. My parents were sitting on the couch in the living room. I was just like going on like for 20 minutes about like everything they talked about, how cool everything was, everything I learned.
Can you describe that feeling while you was there though?
What
did that feel like?
Like when I was there, obviously, like everyone talks about like the Holy Spirit, all that stuff. But it was just like I was in shock because I was like, all this music's going on. Like back then, when I thought of church, I was like, you go because my cousins were Catholic, so I'd go with them every once in a while.
Right.
It's like that was kind of my church thought. But then I went there, and it's a very like upbeat, like the newer church vibe where like we're praising, like people are up. Hands in the sky, like air, like really singing their heart out because like that's what it means to them. It's like it was the first time where I really witnessed like what that is like and what that feels like. And so it was just like your heart's beating, like it's like this is like something special. And so that's when I went home after and I was like, this is like the real deal.
Right.
And they were like, that's awesome, like that's so cool. And then that was kind of it. And then so I kept going every Wednesday, and then eventually I started going to Sunday services. So like 9 a.m. we'd play Friday night, high school football, whatever.
Oh, you was getting up. Oh yeah.
And then eventually, so like we go on Sundays, all that stuff, or it was just me at first. And then my dad, I remember one day he was like, so our church actually did like a story on our family, like for a Christmas service.
Oh, that's awesome.
About like the whole thing. So like I got to hear from their perspective, which is really cool. So I remember my dad saying like one day they were laying in bed, like they heard me getting up, getting ready for church. And my dad was like, why are we letting our son go to church and we're not there with them? Like it was super like he was just like, we have to go.
Mhm.
And so they came, and they were just like, this is what we need to be doing every Sunday.
Mm.
And so they started coming regularly. And I just remember that I want to say it was like 2 or 3, maybe 4 weeks in. That's when my dad like recommitted his life to Christ, like went up to the altar call, like
Mm.
laid it out on the line. And ever since then, it's just been like a skyrocket. Like we made that our family's foundation,
Mm.
which was like for me, it was awesome. And then obviously for like our family, it was a big turning point for us.
Right.
So it was cool.
So obviously, not saying you didn't grow up in it, but obviously the relationship and the connection deeper as a family later on. Now that I know you're still young, I know we're still
Yeah,
young,
yeah.
but when you have your family, like how do you wish to model it? I know it's probably a deep question, but
No,
yeah,
it's real because I just got engaged a couple weeks ago.
Oh my
Congrats.
goodness!
Yeah, so like it's real. It's getting real here.
Congrats, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats.
So like those are talks we've been having is like how we want to parent, like all that
Right.
stuff. Like the talks you need to have,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, to like figure it out. I think for me and like for my fiance Kayla, like we've been talking about like it all has to like be modeled. Like we can't just say something,
Mhm.
but like if our kids aren't seeing us do it daily,
Mm.
though I don't think they'll ever really follow.
Yeah.
So like for me, I want to make sure like the foundation I lay for my kids, it's like I'm in my word like
Mm.
every day. They
Mhm.
see it.
Right.
I'm in the gym every day. They see it. And then hopefully they'll just want to do what dad does.
Yeah. Do what you do, not what you say.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can say
Right.
a lot of different things.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
see it all over the
Yeah,
world now.
yeah.
Everyone says a lot of good things, but
Right.
then one thing after another.
Right.
But yeah, so that's where I think like it was weird how like obviously that's not how I grew up because
Mhm.
like I never saw my dad read his Bible or do like any of that sort of stuff. But like God called me to like so it always works out
Mm.
God's way. But
Right.
that's how I think I want to make sure I try to lead my family
Mm.
in the faith and stuff like that. Obviously going to like church and worship music and all that
Mm.
sort of stuff. But
So how has it been managing, obviously being an athlete, a student, but also your faith and being a follower of Christ? Like how has that been? And obviously the ups and downs that come with it.
Yeah.
Because we all it's college, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
We all high school we learn about ourselves, and college we learn more about ourselves. So
oh yeah.
yeah.
For me, it's always just been like just different seasons.
Mhm.
Every season's different. Some seasons I'm just like on fire. Like everything I'm doing, I feel like I'm just praising the Lord, like feeling like everything is like just daisies and roses.
Mhm.
And then sometimes you're like, oh man, I'm getting smacked in the mouth right now.
Mm.
Like it just I feel like one thing after another. But
Right.
it's just cool to see like as I look back, like going into my 5th year, looking back on all 4 years of college, it's like, wow, like looking how God has like just had his hand over everything.
Mm.
Even when it feels like he's been a little bit farther in the distance or I've been trying to run further away from him,
Right.
he's always been right there. And so for me, it's always just like trying to stay consistent,
Mm.
especially with like our schedules.
Whew, boy. Oh boy. Is there like a story or not put you on spot? Is there like a story or like a verse or in the Bible that you in this season that you um cling to right now?
I mean, I don't know why, but like so me and Kayla, my fiance, one day we were just talking about like the flood, like Noah's Ark and the flood and like all
Mhm.
that stuff. I don't know how it came up or whatever, but we were talking for like 30, 40. It was a car ride.
Okay.
Because that's what it was. So we were driving in the car. It just got done raining. There's a rainbow, and I was like, "Hey, do you know like what the initial like image of the rainbow was?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" Like that was like God's sign to tell people He won't ever flood the earth
Yeah, the
again.
promise. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like she started asking questions about like, well, because she was like, "I don't get the flood. Like, how does this make sense? Like, you're telling me He flooded the whole earth and killed like everyone passed away?" And I was like, "Yeah, like." And so we were just going back and forth, like chit chatting and everything. And then she asked a couple questions. So I was like, how does that make sense? Like,
Right.
what do you mean? So like the last couple like weeks, I've just been kind of like little studying a little more and more about like just that flood and just
Mm.
how Noah was just like they said he was like the only blameless man on earth, and like he was the only one that could build the ark and like do what God was saying. So like
Mhm.
just how strong that connection of
Right.
Noah and God was, and just like the willingness to do what he was saying, and
Mm.
especially in this season where I'm at, like I don't know what my plan is after football. I don't know what's
Right.
gonna happen, but like just hearing God, hopefully, and just trusting that he's gonna keep laying out that path for me to do what he needs me to do for him.
Yeah. And the willingness saved his family as well.
That's what I'm saying.
For him to jump out and do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's spectacular. So obviously you said 5th year. Looking back on young freshman Elliott, like what would you tell him? If you had to tell him something. I know some people say I wouldn't say anything, but if you had to tell him something.
No, I would tell him just like take a deep breath. So I remember a lot of times when I was especially with football, when I was like first going like this first couple of years, I would really get really frustrated because I feel like I wasn't getting an opportunity.
Right.
Whether that was, this or that, but I just felt like I never had the chance I felt like I should have been getting. And then eventually, like throughout my years, I've been able to see like the changes that I've had, whether that's like me personally and like my character and stuff, or like the changes that like the people around me have been able to provide. I remember times where I was like, I'd be down, like pissed, just like furious because like there's a lot of stuff with college football is out of your control. And so like you feel like you can't do anything about it. And so like looking back on it is like, I needed those times to be able to make me like who I am now.
What's one of the one things that football has helped you grow in, whether it's character wise, whether it's, personality, certain traits? What
I feel like for me, like my character is always kind of like revolved around sports.
Right.
So like that's always kind of been who I am, is like like the guy who's like been the sports guy.
Right.
So I feel like I don't know, I just feel like football has taught me a lot about like the mental side of things, because you're handling so much on your plate.
Yeah.
You got, playbooks, you got school, you got all this stuff. So being able to like mentally figure out like the things that you need and like what you need here, like just like kind of organizing your life almost. So it's been good because obviously as you get older, you have family, all that sort of stuff. Like it's the same thing. Football teaches you a lot, I feel like.
Oh
life.
yeah, my goodness. Yeah. The mental toughness is so interesting with football because I don't think a lot of people realize that the schedule, but also the pressure and the expectation that's put on you to perform. But people don't understand there's pressure to perform in practice at a high level.
The practice is what gets you to the games.
Exactly.
And like people think it's like, oh, they show up on Saturday and like that's where all the pressure comes from. There's just as much pressure on a Tuesday at 6 a.m. as there is on a Saturday Memorial.
And as you know, sometimes I don't know how y'all do it now, but back in the day, we was, getting 15 play calls and we had to know them in 15 minutes and go execute them and walk through in team period, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy because you're like, you're so worried about like being perfect. And like that's kind of always been my thing, is like something that I maybe struggle at, is like I always want to be perfect. And so like studying like late in the night, like you're trying to get your plays down so that way tomorrow you go out there and like you execute it perfect.
Right.
And sometimes it's just like it's a lot. You get a lot of pressure built up. You just feel like everything's gonna start crashing down soon. You just gotta be able to like be in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's something that this staff has been really like helpful at, is like allowing us to like teaching us and like giving us opportunities to feel in the moment. So it's been really cool.
So being I talked to IGC and he was talking about being one of the older guys. He's been getting the unks and
these kids
pops
are something else. And then so like I'm 22.
Right.
Most of these cats are 17, 18.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, they'll be saying like words that I don't even understand. Like it's insane.
When were you born?
I was 02.
02. So some guys are like 04, 05. Yeah, that's nuts.
Like it doesn't even make sense in my mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And then the worst part about it is like I'm now engaged, so it's like they think I'm even older and like even more of a grand. Like I'll be just today we got done doing OTAs and everything. I'm sitting on the ground just like chilling and watching. They're like, "Come on, uncle, let me help you up."
Oh, Lord.
I was like, so then I go, "Don't make me stand up and beat your rear end." And they're like, "That's an old grandpa thing to say." And I was like, "What am I supposed to do?
You
here?
Can't win."
I know, that's what I'm saying.
So having like those young guys, like what type of advice do you give? Like you got your fresh pups, even the guys coming into their sophomore year, whether they played or not, like there's still so many things to learn in college. Like what type of advice, counsel can you give those guys?
So that's actually the really cool thing in my like shoes, where I've been able to do this like player development thing. So like I'm actually like a guy that like they can go to, like that's technically like on staff, but I'm not.
Right.
So I'm in a weird position where like they can come to me as like a coach almost, like an older guy that's on staff, like with player development, and like if they need help with their schedule or like this and that, like, just
Wow.
outside of football stuff. But then they can also just come to me if they need to be like I'm a player, I'm a teammate of theirs.
Wow.
It's like I've been put in a really cool position where like guys know me as both, especially these newer guys, where like I'll introduce myself like as Elliot, your teammate, but then I'm also
Have this role.
this role where like if they really do need something outside of like just being like a teammate, I'm available for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing that the staff offers that.
In like,
I've never heard of that ever.
I think and like I might own like, I don't know, like don't think I'm bragging or like anything, but like Rule did a press conference just the other day and he was like, I've made like he's like the only one he's like he said I'm the only one that he's seen be able to do this.
Yeah, because you gotta be anointed for that, literally. Because I've never heard of that and never known someone capable of doing that.
So it's like really cool because it's like I try to be like a team leader. Like obviously I'm an older guy, so like I just have that senior kind of like leadership. But then I also want to be like a leader, like just in myself, where like I can help guys become better men.
Right.
Almost.
Right.
It's a lot of that has to do with like being able to be in that position.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a good spot to go ahead and throw it to our last break here on What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington. Of course, the host to my left, and we got the former Husker and Chancellor and the current Husker and Elliot Brown. Be sure to stick around. One more segment. We'll talk to you in just a little bit.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous. 5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Old School with DP and J.
You have to get ready for this long haul of a season that you put, hopefully, your blood, sweat, and tears into training to be in your best form. And whatever team does it at a higher percentage, that means if you have 100 players and you do it at a 90%, 90% of the guys do it on a 90% basis, generally it correlates to what your wins and losses.
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seeding Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're spending $300 a month. Binge drinking is the most common form of excessive drinking, which costs the United States more than $191 billion each year. By drinking less, you will save $300 a month. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
I'd like Bill to be say next to you. So when you say on three, he goes,
That'd be awesome. That would be Steve Sipple on three.
You should be there just for that.
That's all I said for 3 days.
Kirk Francis, Steve Sipple from the Husker Online on 3 Network.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in to What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington. The host, as always, to my left. We got the guest of Husker football, Elliott Brown, in here as well. Since we're on a little bit of a time crunch here, the host, as always, Chancellor, I'll throw it to you.
Ending things off, I want to talk a little bit about like the receiver room, because, for people that don't know or people that do know, receivers have some of the most unique and loud and spontaneous personalities.
Yeah, you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So what's a guy in the receiver room that, first of all, has that outside the box personality, as I should say?
Yeah. It's because it's like we were saying, like, I'm old to these guys.
Right.
So like they don't like, it's a different wavelength that like these kids have versus what I have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool. Like it really is like you hear the guys like, oh, they keep me young. But like it's true. Like these guys are like cracking jokes that I don't even understand.
Mm.
So like, but it's fun. It's really cool. We have guys from everywhere.
Right.
You know, Florida, Texas, up in Washington, D.C. You got guys from everywhere. So it's really cool. And like I feel like this is one of the closest rooms we've had. I think a lot of that has to do with like our coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's a phenomenal coach, Coach McGuire, really good leader, really good teacher. And like our room is very special, I think, this year. And hopefully we're able to show that this year.
What would you say like the identity of the room is?
Toughness. We want to be like a gritty receiver room. Get out there, block on the perimeter, but then also just go downfield. Like we want to run fast
to make some plays.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure. Who's a guy that this summer, just on the whole team, that you would say you've seen grown?
Grow. I don't know. Like because there's a lot of guys obviously that have been making strides on this stuff, but
Right.
it's just like everyone has like taken their own. Like I feel like everyone's really finding their role. Like we're not even in the season yet, so like it's really cool to be like you see guys like having their own identities like on the team, like finding their ways that they fit. So it's really cool to be able to like. I'm excited to see how that plays out
Right.
once we start getting pads on and stuff like that.
Right. So this is my belief, and I think it's pretty well known across the football community. Do you think things change in July as we approach fall camp and things get a little bit? There's like a different tenacity once you come home from once you come back from that July 4th break. There's like there's a tiny switch that changes.
So like this like scary thing and like scary in a good way is like I feel like we've had that like kind of like that killer instinct because like everyone has that, even these new guys that weren't even on the team last year, we all have this like kind of bitter taste in our mouth about how this last season went. And so we're all like you've seen, we call it the chasing 3. Everyone's had that mindset of like we will not stop until we get what we want. And so like from the second we ended spring ball, we had that little break. The moment we came back, everyone was like, heads down, we're going to work and we're going to earn like what we deserve.
What's been your favorite moment since you've been a Husker?
Obviously it's kind of hard because we haven't won, obviously. So that's tough.
Right.
But no, I'm just kidding. But I don't know, man. I just think it's all the guys that I've got to know. At the senior retreat this year, we were just chopping it up, talking about like all of our past teammates and like how many guys we've been able to interact with and hang out. Like you, for example, like this isn't something I'd be able to do if I didn't have this time with you on the team and stuff.
Right.
So there's just guys all over the country doing different things. And I just think it's super cool to be able to have that bond that'll last a lifetime being a Husker football player with like all these different guys.
If not football, what would you be doing?
MMA.
MMA? Really? When did that come about?
So I started boxing in high school, like early on in high school, and I love it.
Really?
And then ever since then, like I've kind of always kept it on. Like just it's a great workout, first of all. So
Yeah,
like
for sure.
if you're looking at a different way than getting weightlifting in, boxing is it. And then I got introduced to jiu-jitsu also in high school.
Right.
And ever since then, I just kind of always followed like UFC, PFL, all those different things. And like once I'm done playing football, I want to at least try my hand at least a couple fights.
Pro fights.
Well, obviously I'll start like small here in
right.
Lincoln, all that stuff. But yeah, I do. Because then the other thing is like the UFC does a great job at like finding guys for like Dana White Contender Series.
Yeah.
And they have a history of like allowing like big name or like football players who are like proven athletes.
Yeah, of
as long as you know what you're doing, like they'll give you a chance.
Yeah.
I already have a good following.
Yeah.
Husker Football Nation would like help me out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think I want to. I know I want to try it. My parents hate that I say this, but I do want to try it. I think I could be UFC superstar.
Was last thing was one thing the folks, whether you said it on here or not, was one thing the folks need to know about you or should know about you?
My whole thing is I use it on everything. I hashtag it on everything. It's everything. Every picture I take, it's right here. It's love. My thing is all love. This world is very dark at times, and the only way we can get through that is with love. God's blessed me with so many opportunities, so many good people in my life. The best thing I can do in this world is love the people around me. So I know things may seem dark at times, all the craziness that goes on in this world, but we can only get through that with love. So that's my thing.
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Be sure to catch the podcast after. Go back on YouTube, rewatch it. We'll have this cut up on YouTube for you. But that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Once again, shout out Elliot Brown, tonight's guest, Chancellor Brewington, the host to my left, and we will do it again next week.